Once Germany's proud second-largest airline, Air Berlin connected Europe and North America with nearly 100 aircrafts, a symbol of modern German aviation. Yet within just a few decades, the red and white tail that once dominated European airports vanished completely. How did a company that rivaled Lufthansa collapse so dramatically? Let's rewind to where it all began. If you enjoy deep dives into aviation stories, make sure to subscribe for more history like this. Air Berlin's story started in 1978, not in Germany, but in the United States. The airline was founded as Air Berlin USA, a charter carrier launched by former Pan Am and Lufthansa pilots. Back then, West Berlin was a political anomaly, surrounded by the Iron Curtain and only accessible by air through a few approved countries. Only airlines from the US, UK, and France were allowed to operate there. Air Berlin cleverly used this loophole. It became an American airline serving German passengers. In April 1979, its first flight departed from Berlin to Palma de Mallorca with 2 Boeing 707s. The sunny Spanish island became its trademark route, defining its early reputation as a leisure airline for vacation-hungry Germans. Through the 1980s, Air Berlin remained small but stable, a modest player with reliable service. But history was about to open the skies in a way no one could have imagined. When the Berlin Wall fell in 1989, the world changed overnight. Germany reunified, and Air Berlin, until then an American company, re-registered as a German airline in the early 1990s. Suddenly, it had full access to the domestic market. Air Berlin began expanding to major German cities like Munich, Frankfurt, and Düsseldorf, adding new city shuttle services for business travelers. Its hybrid model offered low fares and free snacks, a middle ground between luxury carriers like Lufthansa and budget players like Ryanair. It was a clever positioning move, affordable comfort, wrapped in a friendly, efficient brand. By the late 90s, Air Berlin had carved out a loyal following, setting the stage for its rise. The stage was now set. The airline had found its voice. But the next act would show how ambition, when unchecked, can turn into turbulence. As the 2000s began, Air Berlin went from steady to aggressive. It started buying competitors across Europe, eager to become a continental powerhouse. In 2004, it acquired 24% of Austrian carrier Niki, founded by Formula One legend Niki Lauda, a move that expanded its holiday network across Southern Europe. Then came the boldest step, the 2007 acquisition of LTU, a long-haul leisure airline. For the first time, Air Berlin flew beyond Europe. Its Airbus A330s carried passengers to Bangkok, New York, and the Caribbean. The red tail was now a global symbol of German ambition. But beneath the shine, cracks were forming. Integrating these airlines brought chaos, mixed fleets, conflicting work cultures, and overlapping routes. Other attempted partnerships, with Germania and Condor, collapsed entirely. Air Berlin was flying higher than ever, but its foundation was already shaking. By 2011, the airline was drowning in debt. Then came what seemed like salvation. Etihad Airways, the national carrier of Abu Dhabi, bought a 29.1% stake for 73 million euros. The deal injected much-needed cash and access to Etihad's global network. Air Berlin joined the One World Alliance, aligning itself with major players like British Airways and American Airlines. On paper, it was a dream scenario: international prestige and new connections. But in reality, the airline's problems ran deeper than money. The Etihad partnership provided oxygen, but not a cure. Operational inefficiencies, high fuel costs, and complex route structures kept eroding profits. By 2014, losses reached hundreds of millions of euros annually. Yet instead of simplifying, Air Berlin kept shifting directions. One CEO pushed for premium service, another wanted low-cost efficiency. None of them stayed long enough to fix it. Crisis in the cockpit. Internally, employees were exhausted. Externally, competition was brutal. Lufthansa and its low-cost brand Eurowings dominated corporate travel, while EasyJet and Ryanair conquered budget routes. Air Berlin was stuck in between. Too expensive to compete on price, too inconsistent to compete on quality. And as if that wasn't enough, the long-delayed opening of Berlin Brandenburg Airport, BER, robbed Air Berlin of the central hub it had been planning around for years. By 2015, the company was flying on borrowed time, literally and financially. The new Air Berlin. In 2016, management announced a radical plan called the New Air Berlin. The strategy aimed to cut costs, reduce the fleet to 75 aircraft, and focus on key cities: Berlin, Düsseldorf, Munich, and Stuttgart. Leisure routes would be scaled down in favor of business destinations in Scandinavia and Eastern Europe. It was a logical, disciplined plan, but it came too late. Restructuring takes money and time, and Air Berlin had neither. Then in August 2017, the inevitable happened. Etihad withdrew financial support. The lifeline was gone. Within days, Air Berlin filed for insolvency. The ascent had ended. The descent had begun. Autumn 2017 marked the final chapter. On October 15th, Air Berlin's last long-haul flight from Miami to Düsseldorf touched down. The crew knew it was the end. Passengers received small, heart-shaped chocolates as the captain thanked them for decades of loyalty. 12 days later, on October 27th, an Airbus A320 lifted off from Munich, bound for Berlin. Its radio call sign, Air Berlin Forever. When it landed, hundreds of employees and fans gathered along the runway, waving flags and wiping tears. There was no scandal, no dramatic crash, just the quiet exhaustion of a company that had given everything and run out of airspeed. Air Berlin's demise was not a mystery. It was a perfect storm of ambition, inconsistency, and market pressure. It lacked a clear identity, neither fully low-cost nor fully premium. Acquisitions created inefficiency and confusion instead of synergy. Leadership turnover prevented any long-term strategy. Fierce competition and thin margins left no room for mistakes. And finally, dependence on Etihad delayed tough decisions until it was too late. The airline had the heart of a challenger, but no coherent plan to win the fight. Today, Air Berlin lives on only in memories. For many Germans, it symbolized freedom, warmth, and the joy of travel. Its friendly crews, signature red livery, and personal touches made it beloved across Europe. But its story is also a timeless business lesson. In aviation, and in any industry, survival depends on clarity, focus, and adaptability. Growth without structure becomes chaos. Ambition without discipline becomes downfall. When that final A320 landed in Berlin with the call sign Air Berlin Forever, it wasn't just the end of a company. It was the closing of a chapter in modern German aviation, a story of innovation, overreach, and the unforgiving sky above. Air Berlin may be gone, but for those who once flew under its wings, it remains unforgettable.